We've had a lot of fun with these different training videos. I mean, I've had a lot of fun with these different training videos. For you, maybe not so much. I guess your fun quotient really goes up once you get your driver's license. For me, my fun quotient really... look, regardless, what I'm trying to say is no matter how lighthearted we've been, there are some things that are no joking matter. Knowing the rules of the road and knowing how to properly do things will keep you safe. It's always important to be prepared. When you're prepared for the worst, all your surprises will be good ones. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. What to do in the event of vehicle failure. This is one of the most common vehicle failures that can occur while you're driving. A flat tire or a tire blowout. All tires become worn out eventually, whether it's from rough use or just simply from age. Proper maintenance can help maintain their life, but eventually they're gonna die. It's just part of the life cycle of a tire. By being alert and replacing your tires once they become worn, you can generally reduce your risk of having problems with your tires when you drive. Although problems can still occur no matter how careful you are. But if you ignore your tires and continue to drive on them after they become dangerously worn, you can risk a tire blowout. A tire blowout is a sudden, rapid deflation of the tire. Kind of like popping a balloon at a birthday party. Now, in any emergency, you always want to remain absolutely calm. You'll need your wits about you to stay safe, and yelling and panicking isn't going to help the situation. In the event of a tire blowout, the first thing you'll need to do is grip the steering wheel firmly. The car may try to suddenly swerve in the direction of the blowout, so you'll want to be careful. Take your foot off the gas. And here's the tricky part, don't hit the brakes. You're going to be tempted to slam on the brakes, but if you do, you'll risk losing control of your vehicle. Try and resist the temptation. Instead, allow the car to gradually lose momentum and slow down, and brake very, very gently. Only if you absolutely have to. Use those space management techniques. See how handy those are? And try to find a safe place where you can pull off the road. You don't want to block traffic. While you're pulling over, turn on your emergency flashers so that all the other drivers will know that you're having problems. That way, they'll be prepared just in case. Now, once you're safely out of the way of traffic, go ahead and get out of your vehicle so that you can check up on the damage. If you have a spare tire, you should replace the blown tire so that you can drive to a service station and get it fixed or replaced. You might notice that the spare tire doesn't look quite like the rest of the tires. On a lot of cars, it'll be a tiny little tire that looks kind of like a donut. That's because it's only intended for emergency use and should only be driven on for a few miles until you can get to a service station. Don't just keep driving on the spare tire. Of course, the other option is to call for a tow truck. If your car doesn't have a spare tire, or if you are unable to change it yourself, you may just need to have your car towed to a service station. Whatever you do, don't try to continue driving on the blown tire, even if the tire is only partially damaged. Like, for example, the tread may have torn off, but the inner wall is still holding. Do not continue to drive on it. It's extremely unsafe. Just get it fixed. Then you can worry about getting where you're going. Of course, tire blowouts are only one of the major vehicle failures that can occur while driving. Accelerator problems are another possibility for vehicle failure. Sometimes it's a problem with the engine, or it might just be a problem with the fuel system. Whatever the reason, just like any other emergency, the most important thing is to remember to stay calm. Once you're sure you're really, really calm, go ahead and let your car slow down gradually. It's okay to use the brakes if you need to, but use them sparingly, since you may need the momentum of your vehicle moving forward to help propel you forward as you steer carefully out of the lane of traffic. Once again, use those space management techniques and find a safe place to pull out of the flow of traffic. Remember to use those emergency flashers to communicate your problems to the other drivers. Once you've safely pulled your vehicle over to the side of the road, you should arrange to have your vehicle towed to the nearest service station. Engine failure is another major vehicle failure. It can occur when the engine becomes flooded, overheats, or just plain old stops working. Each one is a little different, but they all have the same result. No vroom vroom. If you suspect that your engine has become flooded, it'll be pretty simple to tell for sure. You'll probably be able to smell a strong smell of gasoline. A flooded engine is basically when your engine gets too much gasoline and can't get started properly. If this occurs, put your foot on the gas pedal and hold it there firmly. Now turn the key in the ignition and hold it for 5 seconds. Now if it doesn't start up for you, just wait a few minutes and then try it again. It may take a few tries, but if it's just a flooded engine, eventually it'll start back up again. If your engine is overheating, first off, turn off the air conditioner if it's on, and turn on your heater as hot as it'll go. It'll be uncomfortable, but it will help draw heat off your engine for a few minutes, until you can bring your car safely to a stop. If the engine overheats while you're driving, make sure you can get the vehicle to a safe place out of the flow of traffic. If it overheats while you're already standing still though, shift the car into neutral and gently press down on the gas pedal. See if that causes the temperature to go down. No matter what happens, oh, yes, and one more thing, you might see steam coming out from under your hood sometimes if your engine is seriously overheated. Whatever you do, do not remove the radiator cap. When your engine is overheating, the coolant in your radiator is hotter than boiling water, and it can seriously burn you if you try to remove the radiator cap while the engine is still hot. Just leave it alone and get to a mechanic. Of course, engine failure doesn't just mean flooding or overheating. Sometimes your engine might just simply shut off when you're driving. In this case, remember, don't panic. If your engine suddenly shuts off while you're driving, first, shift your car into neutral. Immediately use those good old space management techniques and look for a safe escape path. You're gonna need to get out of the flow of traffic as soon as possible. Also, whatever you do, do not brake aggressively. You could risk losing control of the vehicle, plus, you're gonna need the momentum to help steer you to safety. Once you're out of the way of the other drivers, try and restart your engine. If it doesn't work, you'll need to call for roadside assistance. Remember to turn on your emergency flashers and raise your hood so that the other drivers will know that there's a problem. Oh, and one other thing. Even if the engine does restart, be sure and get it checked out by a mechanic as soon as possible, okay? You don't want to risk having this happen again. Of course, even engine failure isn't the worst thing that can happen to you as far as vehicle failures go. There's an even bigger problem out there. Steering failure is a very serious problem because it means that you won't be able to avoid hazards that might pop up out there on the road. In fact, steering failure makes you a road hazard suddenly, and a big one. In the event of steering failure, just like any other type of vehicle failure, the first thing to remember is don't panic. You still got control over your acceleration and your braking, so you can still bring your vehicle safely to a stop. First, turn on the emergency flashers and start pounding on your horn repeatedly. Doing this will alert the other drivers around you that you are not in control of your vehicle. That way they can be sure and leave you a wide berth. The horn will usually suffice. Screaming your head off is probably unnecessary. Now take your foot off the gas pedal and allow to start slowing down. You should also immediately shift down to a lower gear. If you're driving a car with a manual shifter, this will also cause you to rapidly lose speed. Finally, use your parking brake to bring your car to a stop as quickly as you can, but safely. Do not use the brake pedal. If you do, you might cause your car to swerve. And since you can't steer out of the swerve, well, it's just a really, really bad idea. As soon as you've brought the vehicle to a complete stop, be sure and call for assistance. Don't try to drive it again, even if the steering starts suddenly working. Just call for a tow truck and get it checked out by the professionals. Of course, there's one more type of vehicle failure that could occur that you'll need to be aware of. Sometimes, if the vehicle has serious enough problems, it can catch fire. Of course, we're not going to set this car on fire just to make an example. We don't have that kind of money. So let's just pretend that it's on fire. If your vehicle catches fire while you're driving it, be sure and immediately steer it out of the flow of traffic and get away from any people or buildings. Get out of the car as soon as you possibly can. Make sure any other passengers in the car are able to get out safely too. But don't spend valuable seconds trying to recover your belongings. Just let them burn. It's better to lose a few CDs than risk losing your life. If you believe the engine is on fire, do not try and open the hood. Just let it burn. If you happen to have a small fire extinguisher in the glove compartment, which is really a very good idea, by the way, and you can safely reach it before you exit the vehicle, go ahead and grab it, but don't be a hero. If there is any risk to you at all, just stay away. Let the firefighters worry about the problem. That's what they get paid to do. Oh, and one other thing. Make sure you stay a safe distance away from the vehicle. Even if you're far enough away that the fire can't reach you, there still could be a chance that your car could explode. Remember the gas in your tank and all those other chemicals running through your engine? Well, when your car is on fire, those chemicals can turn your vehicle into something similar to a grenade. If it explodes, it may send debris hurling in all directions. Even if the car doesn't explode, a vehicle that's on fire can release dangerous chemicals into the air too. Carbon monoxide, for example, which is colorless, odorless, and extremely deadly if you breathe too much of it in. It's a good idea to move well away from the vehicle to avoid any potential debris and gases. Get across the street if you can do it safely. Don't stick around to watch the fireworks. Man, I told you, we don't have the budget to be blowing up cars. What do you think this is, an action movie? That was just a cheap sound effect. Seriously, I've got the sound guy standing right here in the booth next to me. Say hi, Doug. See? Doug's good people. Recording the voiceover. The point of all this is car explosions are bad news. Look how freaked out you got when you thought your car had exploded. Play it safe and keep plenty of distance between you and the situation. By maintaining a safe distance and letting the fire play itself out, you can make sure that you keep running smoothly, even if your car doesn't.